G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by the Astropub. How you doing, mate?
Doing good. Not as tired as you.
Yeah, day 3, and I'm already feeling it like it's day 500.
Mhm.
But we're getting there slowly. It's a different year this year. I am enjoying the IAE show. It is something a little different, and it's an amalgamation of all these little bits. Like we had Jax come back today, you know, the little bit of information. So the stuff they did with John Crew and Rich Tyre was stuff I've kind of wanted to know for years in both part 1 and part 2. And I did like that they had the QA team there talking about the Polaris and that, and it wasn't just the normal designer people. It's the people that actually have played this thing
Played with it.
right up to where it needs to go. I really like that.
Yeah. No, I that was a nice touch to it because like so often we hear from the designers who are good, but like I'd like to hear from the people who play with the ship, who actually like found all the problems with the ship.
Yeah. And
So.
they snuck our shirt in there too. One of them had
They
the shirt we
did.
made for John Crew on there, which I thought was pretty cool. So hopefully that means some of the rest of the community gets to see what we got made there, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, let's flicker over to the browser. Actually, for some reason, no, it is Mirai. Cool. All right, so we'll kick it off with Mirai. That's the episode we were talking about. There are no CCUs.
It's good.
Yeah, there's no CCUs today from Mirai, but we'll kick it off with the Fury, and I think we can probably. Of course, they did put them next to each other. We've got the Fury LX and the Fury MX, so we can put all three in there and just talk about the different variants.
Yeah. I will start us off real quickly.
Yep.
Don't buy them.
Yep. That is pretty much a given. They're like, I still can't understand how a snub can be more expensive than an Aurora, which is a full-fledged ship. I've never quite understood that, and I think it was the hype of the little X-wing type thing, because it is a little bit like that.
You hear people call it a TIE fighter because it's a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah. So I do like some of the things where they added extra fins for the racing and stuff like that, and I hope that's the thing going forward. But yeah, for me, I still don't think this play. How do I put this? I don't think we really know the strength or weakness of this thing until it really gets the mothership. Now I know they've got them coming out of the TAC, but I just get the feeling down the line there might be another bigger Mirai ship that we get. But you know, I could be full of.
I could see them. I could also see them doing modules for like the Starfarer, because the Starfarer like tanks are swappable. So having something that's swappable with like a cradle for these things, I think it's really the developers, the designers of the ship team are, you know, talented enough, and the people who work on the gameplay for CIG are talented enough. It's just a matter of they need to get a bunch of systems in before they start doing anything with motherships. You know.
Well, when we were talking to Ben and John, they we actually told them about, you know, how people had done the thing with the Starfarer like almost straight away after that, and they said that they essentially tried, like our idea of using them as turrets, they essentially tried to do that on the TAC, but it's just slightly too big, and they would have had to make the ship bigger to pull it off. But I said to them, if you do that on a ship, you will sell heaps of that ship. I guarantee you. The ability just to have turrets that drop off would be mad. So maybe the future. Fingers crossed. You know, so the idea's there, and they've looked at it. So yeah. Right. The Pulse and the Pulse LX. Yeah, that's it. There's only the two.
I'm going to say a controversial thing where I think the Pulse and the Pulse, at least, maybe not the Pulse LX, might be a valuable thing to buy.
Yeah.
Not because it's necessarily like you know, get it in game if you can, but if you're one of those people starting off, getting a Pulse is never going to be a bad idea, especially going forward when they start increasing the ground game a little bit more, because it'll give you a little bit more range to drop way behind some bunkers so you don't get targeted, and then be able to come up with like with some guns to be able to take care of, you know, smaller stuff. So yeah.
So let me add a clarification there. What I hear Paul saying is correct, but what it is, the reason for is this bike is so small, it just fits in places that the other bikes don't. And it offers you a level of convenience that the others do not. And we are, literally you can get this thing inside bunkers and stuff like that, and it's got the gun on it, so you can literally shoot people with it, where the racing variant does not have the gun, so it just gives you the speed, and you can kind of get that with any other vehicle. But the fact that you can kind of go places and get a gun inside places is kind of really strong. Now, whether that stays true into the future, Who knows? But right now it's kind of convenient. And at the very least, if you don't buy it, you can still earn it in game, but earn it in game now and use it. So yeah.
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 No, it's you can earn it in game pretty easily, but if it's one of those things where like you have some leftover cash from buying your cutter or something, but like pick this up, it'll fit in the back of like an Avenger or a cutter.
Yeah, it'll have to be up for a referral bonus soon enough too. I don't know. It's been out. Oh, it hasn't quite been out a year, so it usually takes about a year. Right, we've got the 3 raises, and then we are done. Now, I'm not a big racing fan. Like it's just not a thing for me. But basically, you got 2 racing variants in the white and the blue. So for my book, if you're going for the better racer, it would have to be the white because it's just better on paper. But I have always thought this is the version where it's at, which is the stealth scout ship. And I think this will pay a lot of dividends once the espionage and the need for intel really comes into the game. Like it is going to go to a different level with this thing because it's so small and the signatures and stuff. I think this will have a real place. Very niche place, but because of that nicheness, it's going to make it. There's no other ship that's going to be able to do what it does. Like, yes, a Terrapin can scan more, but a Terrapin's going to light up like a Christmas tree compared to this thing. So,
and it's also incredibly small. Like it is almost the size of a snub.
Yeah,
in terms of its size, you can fit it in almost anything. Like this will fit into. I think this will fits into the Carrick thing. I think you can make it fit at the very least. So like it has a lot of utility, even though it's only single person. It gives you that nice stealth scout. So
yeah, but again, at that price, almost everything we've looked at here today is not worth purchasing from Mirai. They're just too small and too expensive, and they're not on value. Unless you've obviously got lots of other ships, then you do you. But they're all earning game for me, these ones. But anyway, so that is Mirai done. I'm going to move over to. It's meant to be on Misc. It is on Misc. All right. First cab off the rank is the Endeavor. Yep.
Raise your hands.
All hail the cults.
Yes. The 2 high priests of the cult of the Endeavor have officially begun this worship of our sacred namesake.
So yeah, this.
Do we want to like spill exactly why the Endeavor is why we worship the Endeavor?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I'm gonna look up the actual length that it's currently sits at.
It's about 200 meters currently, I believe. Just the old metrics.
Yeah, the old metrics. The old metrics say that it is at 200 meters long, which makes it about twice the size of a Perseus. And I want to say
Perseus is 90 meters, so yeah, it's more than twice the length of a Perseus.
Yeah. And it's only about 42 meters smaller than the Idris.
Yep.
So the Idris is about 242 meters, and this is only 200 meters. Yep. And as those domes alone are probably going to increase the length of this thing because of how it has to like attach by an additional by that amount, plus the hangar bay, plus and everything else into it.
Yeah, so the hangars are really
cool.
The hangars probably the most one that's credible, right? For why it's going to, because you can argue they will or won't with these, but they've literally said over the years it's got to fit 2 cutlasses in the hangar, and they've also said it's got to fit an Apollo. Now, the Apollo is like essentially the smallest large ship you can get. It fits on the same pad as a Constellation and stuff like that. So that's technically like a small S4 pad, which is quite large, right? So when you do all that math and run it all through, I went through this with Grim only about in the last 12 months, and we worked out it's got to be at least 420 meters long. That's almost in line with a Kraken in length.
Yeah. So to give context, that front section there is actually detachable. It is a detachable sort of reattachable sort of thing, and it's clear that they took that front section and they used that as the basis for the Odyssey. Now, even if the front section is a little bit smaller than the Odyssey is still 140 meters long, which would mean that if, let's just say, take 40 meters off for the hangar bay that's on there. And some of the cargo areas. So that means that the drive sections, which is the drive section, I think is what it's called. The drive section is at least 100 meters long. So there's no way that that back section is 100 meters because it's going to have so many more because an Apollo is like 80 meters or like 50 meters long, something like that. So it has to be much bigger. So it's, as we said, it's going to be about 400 meters long, which puts it at the same level as a Kraken. It's almost certainly going to get capital components as a result because it's, the Hope module holds like 50 to 60 beds. It's huge, and it's supposed to be like a flying hospital. So effectively, no matter what, this thing is going to be a capital class. And I call it the colony ship because it's going to probably have a lot of those modules are going to have be reconcepted or redone. Like the science, like the collider module has to probably have some sort of science-based gameplay with it. And so as a result, almost certainly this thing's going to end up being at least $800, if not $1,000. So in right now it's 350, which means for a $10 CCU from, I want to say the Genesis, or is it from the
Gemini?
Yeah, the Starfarer Gemini. For a $10 upgrade from its Starfarer Gemini, you can secure $350, which is going to end up going up to.
Yeah, and you just sit on it in case everything we're saying is wrong. Because I did. Again, it's a small investment, and again, over the course of the entire game, that's nothing, right? It's a couple of cups of coffee or whatever. Well, probably by the time the game's done, it will be a cup of coffee. So I did actually get a chance to talk with John about this one and why it was so difficult, and it also is the same reason why the Caterpillar is, and any ship that has more than one module. So, for example, the Galaxy. Let me just give you the example, right? You've got the Galaxy, you've got the different modules for that, but it's only got one module. So currently, way the game works, they have to make every combination of a ship. So because it's only got one module, say you have a cargo module, and the medical module, and the refinery module, just those three. That would only be three variants of the Galaxy. Now, as soon as you go to, say, another variant that has two modules, and I'm trying to think of a ship that has two modules, I don't think there is any. So I'll take the smallest one I can think of is the Carrack with three modules, right? Let's just say it had a cargo module, and I'm just going to make one up, the medical module, right? Just those combinations. Now, you think about how you got the three on the bottom. Now, think of all the combinations where you'd say have two cargo, one medical, but then the one medical moves into the middle, and then you got the two cargo on the other side. So you run all those combinations through, and it's like probably 9 or 10 different combinations. They've got to build every ship to fill out those combinations of possible places where those modules can go. So now you take a nightmare ship like the Caterpillar, and it's got 4 modules, then the nose. I think he said they were up over 250 variants. And they've got to build and
possible combinations.
And all the things that could go wrong with one ship, and then you've got to do 250. That's more ships than they've got currently in the entire game. Right? So they have to build a system that really makes modularity actually work. So they actually put the proper modules in. Because at the moment, they're kind of faking it with variants of ships, right? So you now take that, put it onto the Endeavor, where it has 3 slots, essentially, and then multiple different combinations of all these different modules. I can't even begin to do the math. It's literally nightmare fuel. So I now understand why John Crew does the whole look of shock and awe every time this thing's mentioned. They did talk about things like if we don't make the actual system of actual real modules, which I think they're going to have to do because there's too many ships that have it. They said the only other alternative is to make it so it's single modules that span the whole thing. So the Hope would be a like essentially variants, but you can switch between. So the Hope would be an entire module. The satellite dish would be an entire module, things like that. So instead of being able to swap it around, it would be entire variants that you can essentially switch between,
swap in and out. Instead of having combinations.
And essentially, because you got to understand from a programming perspective, and once you understand that, it makes so much more sense. So I can't even again thinking about the Caterpillar and all those different modules, and then if they just made it so the whole thing changed, or even just it was 2, like the nose and the back section, that would bring the number down to still 30 or 40 ships. Like it's still quite a lot. So running it all through, you can see why they get confused in that. So I don't know what the changes are in store for this, but the only way for them to kind of keep their promise or word is to literally build a component, not a module system. And again, the only ship that we've kind of really seen that for so far is the Retaliator, but it's the same thing. It's all the different. That's why you've only got the cargo variant right now, because it was one variant. As soon as you put one more module in there, you get where I'm going, right?
Yeah. You have to swap it back and forth, and there are some constraints, like you have to have the front or the back modules.
Exactly.
You can't have them.
And that's every single one of those is a different variant under the way the devs have to make it. So as soon as you just add one extra module, that's a whole nother ship. And then you move that module from the front to the back, so to speak, that's another variant of the ship. So even just adding a second module to the Retaliator, someone's there at CIG doing that right now, because they said that the ones they said was the drop one and the
habitation.
The habitation. So that just putting those two in as one variant. But then if you can put cargo, you see where I'm going. Like I'm trying to explain it. I don't know if I've over explained it. But
so what I will break down as well, because I think some people are confused. I'm sure people will be confused and be like, wait, that's not how it works now. Basically, every single time CIG swaps in and out of a module from a ship, that's a brand new ship.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, well, yeah, it's a brand new ship because you have the module. No. Like the ship has to be modeled completely differently with those.
The system treats it as a whole new ship.
Ship.
Yeah.
So
but it's also it's more of a memory thing, and it also increases the size of the files, because let's just say, for example, I don't know how big they are, right? But let's just say, for example, it's 100 megabytes. So instead of just having 100 megabytes, if you've got to have 10 variants, that's a gigabyte of data. So it's more things we've got to download, more data they've got to send between this. Yeah, where I'm going. It's like it becomes it's a real problem. Yeah, it's very inefficient.
So like, using that concept of like the Caterpillar, when it's sort of different modules, 250 different variations of the Caterpillar would mean that there would be more, like most of the ship data with that sort of situation would just be the Caterpillar and its modules.
Yeah.
Which is
it's
insane
crazy.
amounts of data. So they have to figure out a way of either changing the current module system so that it works as some sort of universal slot, so they don't have to like completely render the whole ship the same way, or so like they've got the system that allows the modularity to work. Now they got to take that system and make it more efficient. So we're probably not going to see a ton of modular ships. That's probably the reason why the Galaxy was delayed, because they need to go through, and because the Galaxy isn't one ship with a couple modules, it's 3 different ships.
Well, it's also why you saw all the modules drop down to 1. The Redeemer, the Galaxy, the Vanguard. They're all the modular ships you've seen have all dropped down to the 1 module. And that's why you see a lot more variants than modules, because they, believe it or not, a variant is a module in a weird way. In their system, they're the same thing. To us, they're different. To them, they're the same from a development standpoint. So that's all relevant for this that we've talked about, because this is probably one of the most modular ships in the entire game. So
and we're talking huge scale. So like, if we're talking about, like, let's just say there are even 30 different variations of the Endeavor that you can put together. Each Endeavor is going to be a massive file size, simply because of its of what it takes up. So you can imagine like how much data, how much memory it would have to use. So
something's going to change before they get to this. Right. I don't know. We don't.
It's going to be released before they get to this.
Yeah. Well, they don't. Well, they're not sure exactly how. Like that. They're just saying like these are all the different outcomes. Like we can split it into different variants that you can switch between, or or they even said, or we could just change it to being variants. Like they haven't decided what they're going to do. But again, even at $350, it's still cheap. Even if in the worst case scenario, that's still very cheap. It's still going to get bigger, right? So if you count them bigger plus the modularity, that's insane. But if it's just bigger, it's still very good value at 350.
Oh yeah.
All right. Probably spent a lot of time on that one, but that's all right.
Now it is our thing. So
yes. The Expanse. More refinery ships coming down the pipe, I reckon. But I really think this one dovetails very well with the Prospector and the what's the other one? God, I'm having a total brain fart. Misfortune's coming, but I'm trying to think of the other one. What is the other one?
Mole?
No,
the Mole?
I've just forgotten it. It's fine.
The Arastra?
Nope, I've just forgotten. It's fine.
Okay.
But there's 3 little it's Prospector and I
The
think
mole.
I think it is the Misfortune that I'm thinking of. I've probably mixed them up. But also you can do a small little combo. Also the whole A would work very well with this as well. Just like a little prospect, a Misc starter pack is what I'm essentially talking about, because they're all very single player focused ships and they work with a very small group. So you could just have 3 or 4 mates and you could do a bit of salvage, a bit of mining, a bit of refining, and obviously the cargo transport and the whole A. I think I've mixed myself up with the Misfortune, which is obviously not out yet. And a rumor, but it is clearly in that blue silhouette video. When we're getting it, I don't know. Obviously in the next 12 months or so, but it was clearly an onboarding task for someone. They took the Prospector and turned it into a salvage variant. So yeah. But yeah, at $150, it's right in line with other profession starters. I think it will be a very cool little ship when it's added. When they'll add it, I do not know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very important for base building.
Agreed.
I think this is a ship that you could get, and it's going to go up in price, because once base building comes out and they're like, hey, you need all this stuff refined before you can put it into a fab.
Yeah,
this thing's going to go from $150 to $300,
which is
like
also
it's gonna double in price when it comes out.
Which is also why the Misfortune is coming, because that is clearly tailored at salvaging buildings and stuff on the ground, which is going to be massive. If you destroy someone else's base, you could just start building there right away. All their stuff up and go. Yeah. Right, the Freelancer series. There are 4 of these beasts. I'm going to be honest, I still don't think we know everything about the DUR, but from all the testing I did last year on the medium ship variants, and now the Zeus is out, this is one of my favorites.
It is still the best.
Yeah.
It's bugged right now where all the doors open up, so you can't fully put everything in all of the the cargo inside of it, but it is because the component doors are all open. But it is still one of the best ideas because it's super small compared to the Zeus, and it holds more than the Zeus. I mean, technically I think the Zeus holds more than it, but when you actually look at the cargo grid space, the Freelancer MIS is a much better, more efficient cargo.
They hold exactly the same at 128, but this has a square space where it has some weird shapes in the Zeus CL, and the CL is harder to load. So, for example, you could just put large containers in this. You'll have to take things out and put them into smaller boxes and rearrange them in the Zeus. And also you block component access on the Zeus, where this you do not. The other massive benefit of this one is, yes, you don't have a tractor beam, but honestly, you can just buy a hand tractor beam, so who cares? But this is the only one of the medium vehicles currently that holds, a medium ship that holds a medium vehicle. You have to go up to something like an MSR or a Corsair or a Connie to get that feature in another ship. So it's the smallest ship that holds a medium vehicle, which is also a massive boon in my book as well. So yeah.
And I firmly believe that when the Misc overhaul happens, we're going to see the Freelancer interiors get entirely overhauled.
Agreed.
To meet the current standards, when we have things like the Starlancer TAC and the BLD come in, I think the Freelancer is going to get that, just kind of like how the Carrack is getting its little touch ups here and there. I think we're going to see the Freelancer's interior get touched up and reworked. So
this one's a bit of an ugly duckling, but much like the Zeus ES, I think this is the more long-range Explorer, where the Zeus ES is more it's a bit more like the Endeavour Cab. It's more shielded and stuff like that, so it's for more dangerous exploration, where this is distance. So again, I'm interested to see where this comes out when it goes along. The normal Freelancer is very vanilla compared to the others, so I'm just going to kind of skip that one a little bit. The Misc, now, I don't know about you, at the same price as the Firebird, would you like the Firebird or this?
This. Yeah. Because you can haul cargo.
Yeah, a bit more versatile.
Yeah. It's a better Firebird. In the sense that it's
better value Firebird, range. I would call it.
Yeah. It's got range. It's got bigger missiles, so like almost torpedoes. I think it's got size 5 missiles, which aren't torpedoes, but they're like on the edge of torpedoes.
Pretty much.
So it's got better guns. Like I think they have the same gun capacity, because I think the Firebird has 3 or 4 size 3s, and that's what the Misc has. The only thing the Firebird has is it's got more maneuverability, but like when you're a missile boat, you don't need maneuverability. You just need to spam.
Yeah. Again, you can also change the guns and stuff like that. You can change the missiles. I think the missile racks, though, are bespoke. I'd have to double check that. It's been a hot minute. Is there anything else you want to add to the Freelancer series, or is that pretty much cover it?
I think the Freelancer, the base Freelancer, is going to overtake the Cutlass in terms of the most used ship once Pyro is fully out.
Yeah,
because
agreed.
It's got better range than the Cutlass. It has more cargo than the Cutlass. It has like the only thing that's holding the Freelancer back is its interior.
Yep.
Once the interior of the Freelancer is improved, it will absolutely shit on the Cutlass when it comes to like content.
Let's put that in perspective then. Along with the Cutlass and a few other ships, these are what the ships that are holdover from Kickstarter. Now the Cutlass got a full rework at one point. This has never really had that. It's had an update, but it's never had a full rework, right? So they got rid of the I guess they did do a bit of a full rework, but it just didn't work because they left the number of crew at 4. And I think that's the weird thing. I really do think this needs to be dropped back down to 2. And maybe the only variant that really needs 3 is the Misery, or what I call the Miss, because the missile person at the back that's doing the reloading. So you could just have an extra bed in that, that midsection where the docking collar is. That's how you also can tell it needs an update. It's got a vertical docking collar. They're not a thing anymore because AI and NPCs cannot go through vertical. They can only go through horizontal. It was too much coding, so they got rid of it.
I will say that in my perfect redesign of this, and I think this is the most efficient within CIG's design, is to get rid of that midsection and turn it into a component bay or a storage bay. So where you have suit lockers or gun racks or other things like that, and then you get rid of the beds. So you have 2 beds, and then you have some sort of like kitchen area, and you get rid of the back turret access, make it a remote turret rather than a manned turret, and have the co-pilot be the one who can control it. And that combination will make the interior livable, and then also make it so that you can increase the amount of cargo, because right now that back section is blocked by the drop down turret, but you can actually put an additional like
little bit of cargo,
4x4, like 4 SCU base bottom on that area, even in the base Freelancer. So
they've already
stack it up to 6 SCU. So it might decrease the SCU a little bit from the overall, but it would definitely improve the overall like gameplay part of it. So.
Not that I agree. So what I was going to say, though, they have actually gone back and added components to this. It's on, because you know how you got there's the gaps either side of the cargo. That's where it is. So in the cargo bay, both sides are all the components. So it does have that weird midsection, though. But I know people have suggested over the years maybe you can make it so that's specially for smuggling, like it's the special compartment. So I don't know. It was originally designed for it's essentially an airlock for the docking collar, but the docking collar can't go on the sides because you can see in the picture the guns are there. So a lot of the problems, this ship is up for a full work just on the docking collar alone, unless they just completely remove it.
I don't think they need a docking. I don't need like a. I think because the entryway is already kind of an airlock. They may need to expand the size of the entryway so it's a little bit bigger than it is now, so you can actually get into the airlock. But it won't be an entire rework like the Cutlass will. I think it'll be an interior rework and maybe some slight exterior changes.
Agreed.
Probably more in line with what the Carrack is getting.
Retaliator?
They like the Retaliator.
Like what they did. Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, let's move on. We got to the Hull A. So really good, as I was saying before, this kind of dovetails with a lot of like the Prospector and the Expanse and the Misfortune when it comes. It's just the smaller cargo hauler, really designed for planet to station. And yeah, if it's your jam, it's your jam. It's a little different in most ships have their cargo on the inside. It decides to just want it on the outside. I think, again, as a profession starter, they are the 2 cheapest profession starters, the Herald and the Hull A. And I don't know, in a weird way, because of the price of the Nomad, I also kind of see this is the same price as the Nomad, right? But the Nomad does come with a game package. I do kind of see this as Misc's, the Reliant's also an advanced starter, but you know what I mean? Like, it's in that price range. It's
a profession starter.
Yeah.
But I agree.
It's cheap.
It's It's super cheap, even because it used to be $60.
Yeah.
Now it's like $90. But even at $90, there's no ship in its size that can carry the amount of cargo that thing can.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like let me look up the actual stats for it, but it's like the whole, it's like 130 or 150. It is the Freelancer Max, but half the size.
Yeah, you're pretty much giving up. You're pretty much giving up, like how you go into a fighter. You go in the opposite way.
Oh,
you're
no.
giving up most of your guns to get cargo.
It's my bad. It's not the Freelancer Max. It's 64 SCU, but it's still 64 SCU in 30-meter length.
Yeah.
So to give context, let me look up the Freelancer real quick. The Freelancer is 38 meters. So, and it has 64 cargo. So you're smaller than the Freelancer with slightly less amount of cargo. So it's a pretty decent little starter. So
So what'd you say the cargo was again? 64.
64
SCU. Well, to put in perspective, the closest thing to this at its price point is the Nomad, and the Nomad's only 24.
Yeah,
so that's drastically.
It's on par with the Freelancers like thing, and the Freelancer is $20 more expensive.
Right. But you're making those two concessions of the cargo being on the outside, and you're kind of giving up almost everything else to do cargo. But that's okay. It makes it very efficient. So yeah, I like it. And I do like the whole series as a whole. Hull B not out yet, but I don't know when they're going to do this one. I think this is one of those ships that are falling into the cracks, and I think this is one of the ones they're going to do when they've got downtime. That's the feeling I get on it. I don't know about you.
I agree as well. I think what I was confusing the whole A with the whole B, because the whole B is 49 meters long. And as of right now, its cargo capacity is 384.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which makes it larger in terms of its cargo capacity than I think even the Caterpillar.
Caterpillar is 576 off the top of my head, but don't quote me on that.
So it's not the. I think it's the Starlancer. It's like more than
Starlancer's,
like 100 more than the Starlancer.
The Starlancer's like 270, 280 or something like that. So again, that's why I don't like the Starlancer. Don't get me started on the Starlancer. Well, we'll start on the Starlancer when we get to Starlancer.
Yeah.
But another ship as an example is the MSR has 114 SCU. So it beats that, and that's what almost double the price. That'll make it 280. The what is it, 260 for the MSR. So yeah.
So this is I looked up the Starlancer Max. It's 224 SCU cargo, and the Starlancer Max is $250. This is 140. So it's 100 more cargo capacity for half the price, almost half the price.
And I see people screaming, but you get all these living quarters and stuff. No, you can keep your double beds. I don't want them.
I mean, you do have some of those advantages, but you are giving up some of it. But if you are a cargo hauler, the Hull B, I think, is one of the best profession ships out there, because at least last we heard, the Hull B could still land with its fully extended. That may change.
Well, it's landed in the photo, but I did hear something about a re-concept for it, so it can land. So
it might get bigger.
yeah, probably, maybe, we'll see. Right, Hull C, this is out. It's a behemoth, and it makes me scared to what the D&E are going to be.
It's huge.
Excuse me. It went up $150. It went from $350 to $500, which is quite a significant price hike. I did grab a bunch of upgrades when it dropped, so I've got a couple there. Save a bit of money with. I don't know. Again, hauling really, or cargo really, has to be your jam for these series of ships. But if that is your jam, and I know it is for some people, this is a sweet spot. I think this is the middle ground. Where you're not going. I don't know, like when we've looked at the ships, essentially, the A and B are really from station to planet, and they kind of dovetail with each other a bit. So A is obviously station to planet, B is station to planet and a little bit around the system, the C's a little bit around the system and maybe the next system across, and then the D and E are clearly multi-system or across the entire galaxy type of thing. So that's kind of tends to be how they work. Anything you want to add to that one?
It's broken. I think it's getting fixed over time, but it's currently broken. So that's if you're buying this, know you're buying a ship that is currently not fully functional. I believe in 3.2, 4.3 they've improved it. If they've not maybe have fully fixed it, there are still many parts of the ship that don't work properly, and the game is not built around it yet. They showed off the sort of docking cargo hangar that they wanted to use with Nyx, and that's something they added with Pyro, and it's something they're going to be going back retroactively and adding to Stanton, but that's probably next year. So if you're purchasing this, note that it may not work when you buy that in the game, and that may be people who get really mad about it, but it's like it's just broken.
I think you can say that about a lot of ships across the game. You really are buying for release. You're not buying right now, so you know any ship you buy can have little issues. I think that's across the. Again, if you buy a new ship, though, yeah, obviously it's going to be working. But again, this has been out for, what, over 12 months now, so that's why it's starting to get some little bugs. And it's got some really unique things about it. Like, I think it'll work a lot better when they bring in those cargo wall things that they showed off at CitizenCon. I think it'll be working again then. Yeah, so yeah, it won't be too long until it's working again. Right, I think we can put the... wow, that almost seems good value when you realize it's not out and it's only $50 more. Wow. Yeah. But yeah, the D and E. Now this one's usually limited. It's not limited. Am I wrong?
It is.
It's gone. Don't worry about it. It's out of here. Yeah. So yeah,
it will be on sale again at 4 p.m. Eastern, and then 4 p.m. Pacific, and then it'll also be at midnight Pacific tomorrow. Yeah. So like it is limited. So
yeah, both the whole D and E, you're getting into, like, this would have to really be your gem. Like, and I know people that have got multiple hull E's and they want to do like massive space trains and all this type of thing. So some people have gone fully into it. And again, we may not understand the craziness of these cargo people, but that's what they want to do. So again, if this speaks to you, it's your gem. I don't know. I've never quite understood it personally myself. Have you, Paul? But
yeah. It's like, I think when it's an org ship. It's one of those things you use when you have an organization and you need to be able to like transport building materials or supplies over multiple systems. You need to basically move absolutely everything from base. You have a whole DRE. You're looking at like some significant movement. You're not going to be making a lot of money with this. This is an end game ship. So what you're purchasing is the same thing as like a Polaris or a Pioneer or something like that. That's why these are so limited.
I remember back when this thing dropped, I remember them saying the cargo was worth more than the hull E itself because of the sheer amount of cargo. And if you ever, I'm sure there's some images out there that show these ships at scale. And the SCU, what's the SCU? Can you look that up real quick while you're there? The SCU on this thing is bananas. It's mind-blowingly huge compared to everything else in the game.
The SCU for the whole E is 98,304.
I'm not moving home. I'm moving cities. Like, just like that's bananas. Like, how much cargo?
That is. I don't even want to know how long it's going to take to load that cargo. You know, even at 32 SU containers. Let me
just log it off for the week. I'll see when you get back with the automatic loading. Like,
yeah. Let me do the math real quickly. It's 632 is the largest container, right?
Yeah, 32 SCU, yeah.
That is 3,072 32 SCU containers. Yeah.
So now you understand why, like, people think we're crazy when we say the raft is a sky crane. The Argo raft is a sky crane. That's why, because you got to speed up the loading. Like, and that only lifts 3 at once.
Yeah. Well, then you also have things like this is the reason why the Argo MPUV exists with the Argo MPUV tractor exists is because you can move 32 SU crates with ease and move it around easier. Same with like the 315P. Like using the 315P will be able to load and unload this thing a lot faster. So like your support ships. This is a capital ship in the sense that it needs support ships to function properly. It will not be able to function like this on its own. So
well, there's a reason why it's got escorts in the screenshot. That's for sure.
On top of it, it's a crew of 1.
Minimum crew of 1, but I reckon you're going to be honestly like look at the whole C that worked out to be what was 3 or 4 people. So I think this will be in the at least that.
Maximum is 5 right now.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's going to be like 5 people.
I think with
that's a small ship.
Yeah, I think with how valuable it is, though, you're going to want to have as many people as possible and a fleet escorting it, to be honest. Like, it's going to be so valuable. Like, it's literally a pirate pinata. Like they'll just see this thing and be salviating. You know, like, it's, yeah, so crazy. All right. The Odyssey, very controversial when it dropped. Is that a pricing? No, because it was at Warbond.
No,
right?
it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think it's very good value at this price because clearly, like, the Carrack, as an example, is a large. This will be a capital where the Carrack is exploring space. This is really designed at exploring planets. I don't think they sold it very well, but I did. So I was talking to a guy. He was talking about trying to make his fleet more unique for his org or more valuable. And Drazen came in, and Drazen is a part of one of the people that helped Space Tomato run his org. And he looked up the number of Carracks versus number of the Odysseys, right? So I don't know the number of people that are in Space Tomato's org, the Garden, Interstellar. But he had over 200 Carracks and only 10 Odysseys. So to put that in perspective, if you are an exploring person and you are a little bit unhappy with your Carrack, this might be the ship to jump towards. And I have a CCU and I've been sitting on it for a while, and I'll probably continue to sit on it, and I'd recommend you do the same. But maybe pick one of these up if you're a little unsure of the Carrack, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a Carrack. Like, it is such a common ship. Even at its price point, it's ridiculous how many people have that thing. So at some point, you know, you can take this and earn down to a Carrack, which is probably what I'm going to do. I've been umming and ahhing about it for ages, but I'll just sit on the CCU. I'll wait till this thing drops, and I might even wait a bit more after that. But I've got the option there now, don't I? So
yeah. And I think the thing about this that's important with the Odyssey is that it has that hangar, which is the same as a Polaris. It is a civilian Polaris, so
it's a little deeper than the Polarises, though, so it might be able to fit some of the more utility-based ships in it, where you can't fit everything in a Polaris because it's a little low. But you're exactly right, though. This is a civilian or utilitarian, or I don't know, the non-combat Polaris is, I don't know how to call that. Yeah,
I think we nailed it when we said that the Odyssey isn't a competitor to the Carrack in the sense that the Odyssey is more of it's a what do we call it, an enterprise explorer. Its job, if you have an Odyssey, your job is to go to a place to find it's a survey, find a good place for a base, and then have your basic building vehicles that can build the basic base in there to kind of roll out and build out while you are surveying or using your ships. So
it's a real estate starship. That's what it is.
It is. I mean, it's like, if they didn't already use the term pioneer, I would have called this ship the Pioneer.
Yeah,
that's what it is, or a frontiersman. Like that's what it is. It's sort of the blazing the trail for civilization to follow after, sort of thing. So,
and I do like how it's halfway between an Endeavor, and it's even got a little bit of greebling on the outside that the Starlancer's got. So it is, it fits the metrics really well. It doesn't have some of the facilities of the Carrack, like, for example, it doesn't have the repair stuff. But again, as Paul said, you could have a repair ship inside it, or you could build a base that has repair facilities with the ship that you put inside it. So
I mean, you pair this with a Starlancer TAC, or Starlancer TAC, a BLD, or even an ironclad assault, because the ironclad assault has a fabrication module inside of it, and so between those two, with the sensor capabilities of the Odyssey and the just pure carry capacity of the ironclad, with its slight building capacity, you've got yourself a frontier fleet. So, and both of those ships, I mean, the Odyssey doesn't require much. I'm gonna look it up real quick, but I don't think it's more than, I don't doubt it's more than 4 or 5 people. But the Odyssey is 4 to 6. So yeah, it's barely over 5. So it's got a small crew range. You can put a lot of, basically, for about 10 people, you can do a lot of work compared to just having to have that same amount for larger ships. So
you're obviously not having the combat readiness of the Polaris. It's probably going to need a few other ships around it, but yeah, I don't know, I'm slowly falling in love with it in a weird way, especially now I've seen the Polaris. I can kind of see Like I can take the teamwork there and put that over to a utilitarian ship. And again, the Carrack, again, you're just knowing so many people have got Carracks. One difference though that I now think about it is technically the Carrack is a military ship, so you might not be able to buy that in game. You'll have to build it in game. That's something I'm gonna have to think about too. So that's interesting. Right. Okay. Next one, we've got the Prospector, an oldie bit of goodie. Starting mining. I don't think that's anything I can really kind of complain about. I think the only thing I'd say is I'd be more likely to get a bigger one and earn down for its price, but it's a really good one to start on and at least get it wet your feet, so to speak.
I don't know. I feel like if you're not willing to spend a big amount of money, I think the Prospector is a fine ship for its price. You know, but you really have to want to do mining. Like,
yes,
it's niche in that sense. But
yeah, a lot of the ships are much like the haulers we talked about before. Yeah, so again, if it's your thing, you do you. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it in game. I take it out. I know a lot of the miners, they prefer to take it out solo because they don't have to worry about other people and having to teach other people and stuff like that. So yeah. All right, we're under the Reliant series, so we can actually put all 4 of these together. We got 1 combat variant, 1 video camera, and science and a cargo. Not in the best place right now. I've actually got an episode recorded in the bank about this that I did with Dawnstiller and how we would fix it. And that's probably going to change again. But yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts on this one? It's very unique. There's nothing really anything else like it in the game, is there?
No, I still hate the core. I think it needs 12 SC of cargo. It needs more cargo because right now it's currently too small of its cargo for what.
Yeah, it's got to match the 315p. It's at the same price as the 315p. It should match it in. Well, it doesn't have a tractor beam, and it doesn't have the cargo capacity. So it's either got to come down in price or it needs an upgrade. And let's be honest, they're never going to bring it down in price, so they've got to upgrade it somehow.
Yeah, if they extended the back out so it holds a little bit more, and then maybe put a tractor beam in the back so that you could load it up with a second player.
Yeah,
you know, like that's a good second player's job right there for that price. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to show you something really quickly. Me and Argot had this theory when we were talking about this ship, right? We still think that this could possibly be a rework of the Reliant. I know that sounds crazy, but how would you make it bigger, right? And if you have to put a bigger cargo capacity in it, I'm just throwing it out there. Like it's probably not true, right? But I just want to, like,
Drake.
How do you?
That's Drake.
It's not Drake. I can tell you that right now because Drake don't have curvy ball turrets. Yeah,
I still think it's Drake, but
yeah, a lot of people think it's Drake, but I had heavily implied to me by developers it was not Drake. Heavily implied. So yeah. Again, see the little fin that's on the bottom right hand side? The Reliant has those as well. And you can actually, when you zoom in on it, you can see it's like a shark fin, and it just goes completely straight on the top, which implies those 2 wings rotate. When it rotates like that, the only ship in the game that rotates is the Reliant. So Drake don't do complicated. They just do foldy wings, not rotating wings. So yeah. Again, too many curves on it to be for it to be a Drake, unfortunately. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. The Mako, it really does seem like it's tailored at content creators.
Yeah, they need to make it function because the camera mode sucks.
Yep.
Improve that.
Yep. The Sen, I think that'll come in time. It's essentially like a sampler. Like you can take samples and take them back to the Endeavor and stuff like that. So I see where they're going with it. But again, until we actually have tangible gameplay, it's
hard to justify $85.
Yeah, you can't even speak to what it does. Like it's like, well, we don't have the gameplay. How can I tell you anything? The Tana is in just a
this is where it is. Yeah. This is the ship that makes the Reliant good. Yep. I'm gonna say that right now.
Yeah,
sorry,
but even then though, it's just in a weird spot combat wise because we don't really have the alien flight model from the Xi'an. And because of that, this doesn't fly really how it should. It should be more maneuverable sideways and stuff like that. And at the moment, just being this giant flying wing, it's just open to be getting utterly destroyed. And the funny thing is, when the AI...
It's got a bad cross-section.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when the AI fly it, they fly it almost like it's landed. I don't know if you've noticed, like, just take note next time you shoot them, they fly very much like it's a sideways fighter, not a vertical fighter. Found that very interesting. So, I don't know, I would have always liked it so it rotated a little bit like the ships in Lost in Space from 1998, if you've seen that. But again, I don't know, maybe, again, if it doesn't get a rework, it needs one. I'm sorry, it just does. They need buffs across the board, especially the core. The core is where this thing whole falls. Like everything else, you can kind of let it go because this thing's not there, or you know, like the flight model, or we don't have the content creator type stuff for the camera. We don't have the science gameplay, but the core just falls. Being the base variant too, which is meant to be hold everything up, it just falls off because 4SCU is pathetic. You know, we got this is an advanced starter, and we got starter ships that hold more than that, which is just it's woeful. So yeah, something's got to give at some point. So yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's good if you're looking for if you have a friend, you want to get into the game and you don't have a lot of money. That's the same price. You can get a base package and upgrade to this. The same for a base package of a Avenger Titan. This holds 2 people. It has a small 1 SCU or 1/8 SCU crate area for storage. It has 2 beds. It has gun racks. So this is a great little like starter mercenary ship if you're looking to get that. That's where its real niche is. And so, but then again, it's maybe an earn-in game if you're looking for it. But
I said 4 SCU, it's actually got 6. I just double checked. But even then, there, you know, the Avengers got 8. As we said, the 315p has 12. You know, like for essentially $15 more, you get into the Nomad, and that jumps to 24. Like there's just too many things around it that consume this. So I did say $15, but I got to go back and go to the core because it's the core, so it's $65. So it's just, I don't know, there's just too many things around it that eat it for breakfast, and it's it was designed by one of the guys that were one of the judges on the next great Starship, but then Star Wars got announced and he left. And I think it's kind of languished a bit because it was his ship. And the other ship that he also designed was the Mustang, and that got changed as well, right? Remember where it used to land on its legs, and now it's wheels like everything else? So, yeah, I'd love to see him come back and kind of fix this, to be honest. Just as a homage, but again, I think we'll be waiting a little bit for that, if ever. So, yeah. Right, the Starfarer and Starfarer Gemini. How do we explain this? Not in the best place right now. I'm probably going to be realistically upgrading mine to whatever the capital version of this when it arrives. The Gemini is probably a bit more where it's at because in game the Geminis are actually cheaper than the normal Starfarers and they're stripped back. But when you buy the Gemini, it comes with all the extra bits, bells and whistles of the Starfarer and the Gemini, so you can actually interchange between the two. And the Gemini actually has more armor, so if refueling's your jam, it does so much. This ship, it's kind of crazy. It's got like so many jump seats in it, it's ridiculous. So you can use it as a drop ship even. You can fit smaller vehicles in it as well. I think you can, from memory, a rover fits in it. I'd have to go double check. It's been a hot minute. But yeah, you know, big turrets on it. The refueling, the refining, all that. It's got you've got to be into that fuel gameplay, and I could totally see these dovetailing with the bigger Misc ships. Like they'll need to be refueled along the way. So this will probably be a part of the fleet makeup for those long hauling entourages across the system.
Yeah. You
want to say anything?
These are bad designs. The interior is just awful and they need to get fixed. And there's a lot of things they need to fix with it because it was one of the examples of a ship built for gameplay that didn't exist and they didn't know how it was going to work.
Agreed.
But yeah.
I will say one positive lore thing about this ship, and I know Paul's the lore man, so he can back me on this. I want to see more ships specifically like the Gemini, because this is in lore as a collaboration between Aegis and Misc, and we don't have enough of those, where it's this weird thing between two. I want to see more of that going forward. So Mr. Haddock, I'm looking at you. Will Weisbarb, looking at you. More of this, please. Yes. Yeah. Right. We've almost done a full circle. We're up to the Starlancers. Now, I am not like if you have been watching in the last week or so, I am not a fan of this ship, right?
He's very controversial.
Right. So, and a lot of people like it, but I'm just talking about on paper, it don't add up to me. And again, Paul reinforced my point. Hull B at $100 less, and this is Warbond, by the way, at $100 less than this. Well, it's $130 left if you remove the Warbond, and it's one person, and this is a long range endurance distance hauler, and it is so niche. I just don't understand why you wouldn't get like a Hull C if you were into that. Or a Hull B. Yes, it is right in the middle price range, but if cargo is your jam, this is not the ship. This is, and then as soon as you go into that long distance stuff, you're looking at things like the 600i, the Constellation Taurus, the Caterpillar, the Hercules. There's so many other ships out there, and I think the only reason that this thing kind of even gets through is just how cheap it is, right? But as a ship, it just doesn't add up compared to other ones. I don't know. I'm probably hating way too much, so I'm going to let you do some positivity. I'll back off.
I think it's designed exactly the way it was supposed to be designed. I think the whole purpose of the ship is to function like a Misc ship. And I think one of the problems that people have with Misc ships is that they're designed to be industrial with some efficiency, so they're not perfectly designed. Like they're not designed to be absolutely 100% efficient all the time. So they're going to use spaces for things like luxury areas and other things like that people get mad at. But that's the way it is. Like that's the way they're designed to do. And the thing about the Starlancer, as we know, it was the BLD was designed first. It was the ship they designed, and then they designed backwards. So they said, what can we do with this BLD? And they designed the Starlancer Max, and then they designed the Starlancer TAC. So the real answer is that the base Starlancer is the BLD. It's the Starlancer, and then this is the Max, and then that's the TAC.
I think that's my another answer to this is they should have just called it the Starlancer. But I actually had it. There was someone that really rigorously tested this. Drazen again. I was talking to him the other day, and he said that his biggest annoyance with it is it's essentially got two separate cargo bays, because the one that drops down, you can't, while you're inside the ship, you cannot take the cargo off the drop down and put it into the back, and vice versa. So essentially, you got to land and switch between the two. So it's two. We've never seen that in a ship before, which has essentially got two separate split cargo bays. I guess the Freelancer's the only other kind of one that does that, but you can still put the cargo through. Can you fit it through the door? So that might be another problem with the Freelancer. But anyway, I'll have to go test that. But you get my point, right? It's maximum annoyance. Like I don't understand why it's got the Max moniker. The only thing I can see from an efficiency point of view is the extra VTOL. And, it's not that quick access thing is not as good as people think it is. You've still got to pick it up with a tractor beam and rotate it. I can pick it up with a tractor beam out of the back. I've just got to pull it a little bit more. You're saving yourself mere seconds. And again, if they're two separate cargo compartments, that makes it even more in because I've got to empty one, then I'm going to move around to the other one and empty that. So again, unless they make some little fixes to this, I just don't get it. And it's more living quarters than it is cargo. So how is that maximum? It doesn't get fat like the other Freelancer Max. That's also what I would have done. I would have almost inverted the things. So the living quarters are downstairs and the cargo's upstairs. Or I don't know. There's just something off about how they've done it.
Is it your Redeemer?
I just bloody coming close.
It's your Redeemer. It's that you heard it here first, folks. The Starlancer Max is X's Redeemer, so you should buy him one and force him to use it. CIG, please.
Nope. I would just look. I have forced myself to use it quite a lot because I don't often get frustrated with ships, right?
Yeah.
And you know me, like a lot of people call me a white knight, but I just call it as I see it. That is just how I am, right? I just don't get it, right? And I'm not like a Misc hater. I'm just talking purely on paper. That thing don't add up. The TAC, on the other hand, my biggest problem that I saw straight off the bat was it was just too big. Again, so this is a long range dropship attack craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you just take multiple Redeemers? And it is the same price as Redeemer. Again, like the Redeemer is very expensive, right? But
this holds more people.
Yeah, but it's a bigger thing that can be shot.
Yeah,
it's easier to kill.
More people and probably has longer range than the Redeemer.
Probably, I reckon it would realistically have to have longer range. Yes, so you could do it in one jump. Yeah, but the Redeemer will still get there.
Yeah, but you have to use multiple ships, which means every ship of that fleet of Redeemers is going to have to be repaired, refueled, which is going to double or triple the price of the actual operation. Whereas this, you could do it all in one. So yeah,
you can see though how that's more niche though, right? It's only ever needed for that extreme long range. And that's my problem.
It's also designed. It does not necessarily the extreme long range. It just also has just longer operation capacity. So you can, like the Redeemer is going to run out of fuel faster. So even if you are using just a Redeemer, like the main, multiple Redeemers, the main problem is going to be how long does your fuel last? And again, you're going to have to refuel all of them, repair all of them. So when you can do all of the things the Redeemer can do in one ship and carry more people and stay in the AO longer, that's the value. I understand why people may not be like it, but I understand exactly why this exists, because this exists functionality in terms of like gameplay as a frontier Redeemer. Because Redeemer is a military ship. It's going to be temperamental like a military ship. It's going to break down like a military ship. It's going to be very high performance. And it still is sort of high performance. And this won't be nearly as high, but it's also not going to cost you $1 million to refuel and fix. So or $1 million credits to do so.
I'm gonna have to do testing when it comes out, but I just also don't quite.
Also, the Redeemer doesn't have a medical bed.
Yeah, true. I don't understand the hangar with the Fury, because you can't take multiple Furies because they're snubs. So you can really only, if you can fit 2 in there, cool, you can fit 2 in there. But at the moment, they show it with 1. It's not like a Polaris where you can rotate multiple fighters through because they can get themselves there. A snub can't get themselves there. The Merlin takes up a lot less space because it just docks. So obviously the advantage there is you can repair with the hangar, but you're giving up a lot of those living quarters too, which is meant to be the benefit of this ship, to get this little hangar. So if you can't fit 2 of them in there, I don't quite get the advantage of it. I think it really does have to fit a minimum of 2. And I'm going to be honest with you, what I'd also like to really add a benefit to this ship is some way to just attach. Now, I don't mean dock or anything like that. I mean just attach a couple additional Furies to the outside, because I think that would make the hangar worth a lot more, would it not? Say you could attach 2 to 4 just on the top, like almost like a roof rack. Do you hear where I'm going with that, right? Because then you could EVA out and you could cycle them through the why do you need to hang up for one little snub? It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Itself doesn't. The hangar itself is also optional because it can also be turned into a cargo area. So
okay, okay. Okay, all right. Again, that just makes me more annoyed about the Max, because why couldn't they put a cargo area upstairs instead of putting double beds? So yeah. All right, we'll move on. As Paul said, though, when the build comes out, I think that is clearly where this thing's going to be at, and I'm probably going to at least pick up an upgrade for that one. All right, we've done a lap, Paul. We are done. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add about Misc or Mirai Day? What you'd like to hear in the comments?
Well, I like Misc. Misc is one of the manufacturers I started with when I started playing Star Citizen that I really was focused on. I will say it's interesting. We'll see. I don't think there's really anything exciting today about it other than say the Endeavor. I do want to know, ask people if we've convinced you to join the cult and get yourself an upgrade kit. So
do you know someone used our moniker the other day and they tried to say the cult of the Reclaimer, and I was like,
there's no cult of the Reclaimer. No, it's the cult of the Endeavor.
That's it. There is no other. Anyway, so I don't know. Was there a good lineup there for you? And I don't know. As I kind of get more and more time following Star Citizen, this just seems to be more and more for new people. And I can't get over the number of less people that seems to be following this year. The views are down on the videos. The people that are in the Discord are down on the videos. I just kind of noticing that it's a little lackluster this year. I'm hoping it picks up again towards Anvil Day, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I think people got a bit burned this year.
It's pretty clear because when last night I was streaming, which is usually weekend free flight, usually gets a lot of attention even outside of the Star Citizen community, and I was one of the higher streamers at like 200 people, which is really low for Twitch, and especially for that.
Well, that's like a regular weekend on a captain's table or a regular stream. It's
a regular weekend, which is not good for the kind of popularity of Star Citizen. So I will say that I think we may see a creep up as we get towards the end of the week. We might see more and more people engaged, because I'm also seeing on social media a lot of people finally going, hey, you know what, I poop on Star Citizen all the time, I'm gonna download the game because it's free to play, and I'm gonna laugh at how bad it is, and people doing that and being like, oh, I get it now, I understand what this game is. So like I've seen a couple of those posts on social media, which
we've been knowing that for years. We've been knowing that for years, because every time a bad article comes out, the sales go up, not down. And it's like, why? And it's all because they see it and they realize.
That's the problem, I think, is there's been no heavy dev like pile-on, no hot pile-on of media profile being like Star Citizen is scamming, it's made billions of dollars, and you're scamming. Like, we haven't seen any of those.
Get out there and roll some hate, guys. Come on.
Yes.
All right then. Where can people find you on the interweb, Paul?
Twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live, youtube.com/theastrohistorian. And if you want to check out all future episodes of the Captain's Table, then you can check out youtube.com/the Captain's Table podcast.
All right. With that, then, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Thank you to everyone that will extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video. He's been Astropub. I've been Execute. We'll catch you next one. See you, citizens.